Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians, guests, and visitors. Also, welcome to each of you and those who are on Zoom. Welcome to our first Rotary Club of Cincinnati meeting in August 5th, right at the beautiful downtown Hilton Netherland Hotel. We will begin with a video of the Star Spangled Banner, followed by the invocation and four-way test, which will be led by Steve Drafel.
Man, that was inspirational, wasn't it? So, we live in a great country, Thanks, President Melinda. Let us bow our heads for prayer. Almighty Father above, we thank you for granting us a day of fellowship and friendship with our fellow Rotarians, our friends, and our guests. We thank you for today's meal and for those who prepared and served it. We thank you for those who provide the leadership and guidance to our local community in the state of Ohio to make them vibrant places full of activities and opportunities to work, live, and play. We ask that you provide these government officials with wisdom and good judgment as they discern courses of actions to take as we battle the recent surge of COVID-19 and the Delta variant. We pray that the financial resources provided to our governmental bodies are spent in a way that would be reflective of the values we hold dear, and that those values are a reflection of your guidance and wisdom. Heavenly Father, we ask that you are with our speaker, Robert Sprague. We appreciate the opportunity to hear his words and thank you that he is here today. Now, Father, be with each of us and guide us as we further the work and the mission of Rotary and put service above self. Amen. And now please join me in reciting the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will be beneficial to all concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Next, our prospective members, visitors, and guests will be introduced by Bill Stilley, followed by a brief presentation from our meeting sponsors, Han and Uda Papke, and Mary Rand.
Thank you, President Melinda. And welcome to Rotary Club 17, the 17th oldest club in the known universe. We'd like to welcome our prospective members and guests, and if you would, as I announce your name, please stand up that we might recognize you. Meredith McLean is a guest of Brett Labar. Meredith. Becky McGilligan and Brian McGilligan, also with McGilligan MDs. Welcome. Mary Weinberg, a guest from Galen Gordon, a 2008 Olympian. Eric Fogg with Coldwell Banker, a guest of Nancy Reese. Bruce Stewart, a guest of Hux Miller. Don Catchman, a guest of Jim Nyhard. Mark Longnecker and Marcy Longnecker, guest of Rick Flynn's. A guest of Melinda Kelly, Samantha Dickinson. Alex Montgomery with the Ohio Treasurer's Office. Eric Rose, P&G Sprints, a guest of Rick Flynn. And Karen Hilton, a guest of Molly Rydell. Welcome to Rotary.
Good afternoon. My name's Mary Rand, and I was a member of Rotary from 93 to 2000, and just couldn't make the time coming back from Hyde Park every week. The parking was an issue. And I've had a gallery in Hyde Park since 1976, next to Hyde Park Country Club. And I am here to introduce Mr. Hans Papke, who we're going to have an exhibition of his work that opens on September the 10th for the month, and I'd like to invite you all to come. And Hans is celebrating his 58th anniversary of coming to the United States today. So. Hans is a very creative person who has talents in many areas, and one of them is art and sculpture, and he does a great variety of things. He tries to challenge himself every day. So it's good to be here, and I thank you for having us.
Thank you, Mary, and thank you, Uda and Hans, for sponsoring our meeting today. Next, we will have new member sticker tear-offs by Michael Schmidt.
Thank you, President Melinda. I'm Mike Schmidt, and I'm the current chair of the New Member Advisory Committee. And today we want to recognize those new members of Club 17 who have completed our Roadmap to Success program. To complete the Roadmap to Success, new members must complete a new member project, join a Rotary committee, one or more, attend our weekly meetings, and become involved and engaged members. In recognition of their accomplishments, these new members are eligible to tear off their new member stickers, which are affixed to their badge. They have brought us fresh ideas, increased availability to serve more people, provided new perspectives, and enthusiastically embraced our Rotary motto of service above self. We also recognize those new member advisors who have served as mentors to the new members. The new member advisors advise, encourage, introduce, and invite the new members to become engaged and committed members of our club. They generously give their time and share their knowledge, as well as supporting those new members in successfully completing the Roadmap to Success. And finally, we recognize those sponsors who have reached out to the new members and invited them to join Club 17. So with that, we have a little slideshow, I believe, of the new members. And you've got that clicker, Deanne? You've got it? Okay, Christy. Our first new member, and if you're here, would you please stand so we can acknowledge you? Lisa Blaney Gassaway. Her sponsor, Craig Roberts, and her new member advisor, Scott Hoberg. Our next new member who has completed the Roadmap to Success is Esteban Cali. His new member advisor was Scott Hoberg, and his sponsor was Craig Roberts. Next, we have Angie Ferguson. Her new member advisor was Deb Cali, and her sponsors were Jim Yunker and Michael Villardo. Then we have Erin Foke, or Folk. I hope I didn't mispronounce that. Foke. Her new member advisor is Tony Ochier, and sponsor is Ronnie Luckenbill. Galen Gordon. There's Galen. Galen and I have worked on a committee together. He's very active. His new member advisor was Jim Hudson, and sponsor was Brett LeBar. And then we have Kevin Potts, another new member who's completed the Roadmap to Success. His new member advisor is Ken Saunders, and his sponsor is Terry Dean. I'd like to ask all the new members who are present, who are ready to tear off their sticker, to please come to the stage so we can do that and conclude our little ceremony. So if you're here, please come on up and we'll do the sticker tear off. I want to congratulate each of you on completing the new member process. It's not easy. You have to spend a lot of time. We really appreciate your effort. So with that, if you have your badge, you can tear off your new sticker, and you're no longer a new member of Rotary. Galen? You too. Thanks, guys.
Welcome, new members, with your new member sticker torn off of your badge. Congratulations. And they're all actively involved, so thank you for your involvement. And thank you, Michael Schmidt, for making sure that that happened and keeping all the records and the data so that we could have this ceremony today. Next, we will have an introduction of new member Chuck Martz. That introduction will be done by Dave Carlin, after which we will have a live Believe to Achieve auction by Jim Crowley.
Well, thanks, President Melinda. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Chuck Martz to us. He's, of all the introductions I've done, he's had the most Rotary experience of anybody I've ever introduced, so you'll see that in a second as I describe what he's been doing. But he's actually been in 6 different clubs in 4 different states, Minnesota, Michigan, Ohio, and now Pennsylvania. I don't think you've been... Yeah, I don't think you've been booted out of any clubs.
Not yet.
Yet, so that's good. But and that didn't, in the background check, it didn't reveal any problems. So, but he's been extremely involved with Rotary since 2001. When he came here, he was the president of the Phoenixville, Pennsylvania Club in 2019 and 20. He's been part of the foundation chair in three different clubs. He's actually been the district chair for the Paul Harris Society in one district that he was in. He was also the marketing chair as well. And if that's not enough, he's a Paul Harris Society member and also a major donor. So he's assured me that this is his last club, and we're going to hold you to that. Okay, very good. But we're looking forward to having you part of our club with all the Rotary experience you've had. So he's from Ohio. He grew up in Delphus and actually went to Ohio State, was a graduate there in ceramic engineering. Not sure what that is, but that sounds impressive. Yeah. But he also has an MBA in marketing from Drexel University in Philadelphia. And throughout his travels, he worked for Dow Chemical for 35 years. So he moved around to various jobs over the course of his career, so hence his Rotary travels. But he was involved with marketing, sales, business development, and business leadership. at Dow, and now he has his own consulting company called Blue Arch Development, where he consults with industrial water companies to help them grow their business. So personally, he has been married to his wife Sue for 37 years. That deserves a round of applause. And they have 3 kids. His daughter and son-in-law live here in Cincinnati, and they just had their first child, their first grandchild. And he has a daughter in Detroit and a son in Denver. So when he isn't spending time with family, he's working on his golf game and also fine dining in Cincinnati. So please help me welcome Chuck Martz to our club.
Jim Crowley. Jim Crowley will follow with live Believe to Achieve auction. Our Believe to Achieve event will be this Saturday, and he will give you some more information on that. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Melinda. All right, all you Reds fans, step up. Come on, get the checkbooks out. Let's go. I see a friend of ours here from the Cincinnati Reds. Now, for the uninitiated, there is a Mr. Red and there's a Mr. Red Legs. The gentleman with the mustache is Mr. Red Legs. I had the opportunity to throw pitches, first pitch to Mr. Red down at the stadium about 7 years ago. And the only catcher I ever had never said anything to me. Didn't give me a sign, just threw the fastball, that was it. It's all over. It's fun, a lot of fun. So he is going to go around and talk to you and work it up. Well, he can't talk, so let's paraphrase that. He's going to go around and encourage you to make contributions in this order. We have 4 tickets to an FC Cincinnati match to agreed upon, section 215, row 3, east side of the stadium in our beautiful new TQL stadium, valued $300, donated by Carl Kappas. So we're going to throw a little soccer in there first to warm you up. So do I have a bid? One package, okay. All right, so this whole thing is 18, okay. The whole package has a value of $1,800. I'll read the rest of it. 4 tickets to the Sunday, September 5th, 2021 Detroit Tigers Cincinnati Reds game. These are infield box seats, first base, value $320, donated by Baird and Gino Colangelo. In addition, we have 4 club level tickets and parking pass to Cincinnati Bengals game on Thursday night, September 30th against the Jacksonville Jaguars and their new quarterback, the boy from Clemson. And that's given to us by Jane Burkhead. These are located at the club level, 209, row seat 11 to 14 on the 50-yard line, including underground parking. Donated, like I said, by Jane, valued at $1,100. The fourth item on this list are 4 ticket vouchers for any Cincinnati Cyclones game in the year 2021 to 22 season, donated by Dan Grunenberg and the Cincinnati Cyclones. That has a value of $80. Do I have an initial bid? I'd like an initial bid somewhere in the range of $1,000. Do I hear $1,000? Do we have $1,050? He had $1,000 both. $1,100. Do I have $1,100? Do I hear $1,200? Do I have $1,200? We have $1,100. $1,200, Jim. Let's go. We have any more? $1,200 going once. There we go. Owen, what's your bid? $1,500. We have $1,500 on the table. Let's go. Let's go. We got some more. Mr. Red, let's go. Come on, jump out there. Let's go, Mr. Red Legs. Get with it. All right. All right, we have a bid, $1,500. Do I hear $1,600? Let's hear 16. We got some $1,600, James. Thank you. Do we hear $1,700? I have 16. I want 17. Mr. Redlegs, do you hear $1,700? Do you hear it? Okay, we have we have on the table $1,600 bid. James, going once, twice. Yes, sir. Owen, what's your bid? Oh, okay, $1,700. That nick of time. Let's hear it for Owen. All right, James, what do you say? I got 17. Do I hear 18? Anybody give me 18? $1,800. We need 18. We got 17. Do I hear 1750? 1750, James. Thank you very much. 1750. Got here 18. We're only $50 away from $1,800. Going once, 1750, $1,800. Thank you, Owen in the back row. $1,800 is the bid for this fabulous collection of sports tickets. I have 18 going once, going twice. Sold, Owen Rassman, $1,800. Go Reds.
Thank you very much for that, Jim, and congratulations, Owen. I think you're going to have a lot of new friends by the time you leave here from lunch today. Thank you, Mr. Redlegs. Our announcements are as follows. We have several members celebrating birthdays this week. If you are present and are able to stand, please do so, and please hold your applause until the end. August 3rd, Peter Lytle. August 4th, again, Hans Papke. August 5th, Ed Mathis. August 6th, Bob Wilson and Lori Quinlivan. August 7th, Cheryl Parker. So let's congratulate and welcome and sing happy birthday wishes to all of our birthday celebrations for this week. Let's give them a round of applause. Next, we have our split the pot. 25% of the pot goes to the winner. 25% goes to the accumulating pot, which is now $376. 50% goes to the club for membership development efforts. And our Rotarians are eligible for the big pot, the accumulating pot. Only the Club 17 Rotarians are eligible for the big pot. And now we're going to ask Robert Sprague, if he would, State Treasurer, to pull the ticket, and we'll see if that person wins that gets a Queen of Hearts.
All right, we'll pick one off the bottom here.
All right. You can say it if you want.
All right. Sure. All right, this is a way to make friends. All right, the last four digits are 8820. 8820. 8820. All right, congratulations.
Thank you very much, and that's Jody DeVoyd. Congratulations, Jody. Will she get the Queen of Hearts? No, maybe next time. That's 3 of clubs. Next, our Believe to Achieve again will be this Saturday, the event that we have. An email with important information will be sent out to you today from our office staff. If you do not receive the email by the end of the day, please contact the Rotary office in the morning. Sign-ups begin next week. Fun for All, save the date, for the Rotary Club Picnic. It will be at Camp Allen. It will be Saturday, August 28th. All new games for kids. We'll have just a lot of fun for the family. This is one of those Legacy Next Generation events as well. So family and kids are welcome. There will be a roto run as part of the festivities and visits to a cardboard boat museum. Linda has some interesting things that she's put together for us, but last year it was just exciting as we did our roto run through the Batavia through Clermont County last year. So I'm sure it'll be great fun this year. Also, we will visit a Corvette restoration shop and a private steam engine collection. Our next hands-on service project will be August 11th. It will be Wednesday from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock at the Ronald McDonald House. There will be dinner that we will serve for the occupants there. So there are 10 volunteers needed for that hands-on service project. If you are interested, contact Dr. Hux Miller. Next week's meeting will be Barbara Turner, who's the CEO of Ohio National Financial Services, and we're really looking forward to that. but that's next week. This week, our speaker will be Robert Sprague, and he will be introduced by past President Rick Flynn.
Thank you, President Melinda. Before I introduce our treasurer, I'd like to thank Marcy Longnecker, my longtime friend. Marcy is the Ohio Treasurer Robert Sprague Public Affairs Liaison, and it would be tough to find anyone that cares as much about our community as she does. So thank you so much for this honor, Marcy. Robert Sprague serves as Ohio's 49th Treasurer of State. As Ohio Treasurer, he oversees the state's investment and debt portfolios, custody portfolios, and annual cash movements and deposits. During his administration, the Treasurer's Office is working to improve Ohio and the lives of its residents through trusted stewardship, wise investment, bold innovation, and highlights of this include the launch of Results Ohio, which creates an infrastructure to evaluate and support pay-for-success projects aimed at combating complex social and public health challenges facing Ohio. Record growth for the Stable Account program. Stable accounts are specialized savings and investment accounts for people living with disabilities. Participation in the program more than doubled during Treasurer Sprague's first 2 years in office. And today the program is a national leader in providing such benefits to people in the disability community. In 2020, Treasurer Sprague ushered in the next generation of the Ohio checkbook. Through a partnership with the DeWine Houston administration, ohiocheckbook.gov merged the functionality of the previous ohiocheckbook.com and the Ohio Interactive Budget website to create a single, streamlined platform for taxpayers to learn more about government spending. It's a pretty hot area. Treasurer Sprague holds a bachelor's in mechanical engineering from Duke University and went on to earn an MBA from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Upon completing his studies, Robert joined Ernst & Young. While there, he worked on several high-profile projects for Fortune 500 companies before forming his own consulting firm. Robert later returned to his hometown of Findlay, where he served as city auditor and treasurer before representing the community as a member of the Ohio House of Representatives. Today, Treasurer Sprague and his wife, Amanda, still live in Findlay, along with their 5 children. Please welcome our treasurer, Robert Sprague.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you so very much. It's great to have Mr. Redlegs here, isn't it? Isn't he phenomenal? Thank you, Mr. Redlegs, for being here. I'll have to tell you, though, I was sitting there somewhat terrified because I thought that Mr. Redlegs had been recruited by Melinda to kind of spice up the treasurer's speech. Like, man, this thing's going to be really boring. Maybe we get Mr. Redlegs to do some pantomime about the treasurer's programs while he's giving the speech. All right, but we're glad to have you here. It's great to have you here. Just a little bit about me. As Rick already mentioned, I live in Findlay, Ohio, Northwest Ohio, with my wife Amanda, and we have 5 children. And that's a little bit unusual nowadays. It's unusual to have a big family, right? I tell people that it's a lot like having a waterbed. It used to be that everybody had one, but now they're just weird. And so that's just a little bit about me. I got to tell you, so we have 4 boys. My oldest son, we finally have one going off to college. He's 19, and he's going to attend the Citadel this next year and be in the United States Army. And we're very proud of him. Very proud of him. Now, you know, at the Citadel, your freshman year, they call you a knob, which gives you some idea of how hard of a year this is going to be for a freshman year. But we're very, very proud of Cole and everything that he's doing. And then we have stair-step boys just down until we get to the little girl. And she's 10. Her name's Mary Hannah, and she, of course, runs the place because she's the girl. And I got to tell you a funny story. So I'm taking Mary Hannah to dance class, true story. And from the back of the cars, right after I got elected, she said, "Daddy, the treasurer's office, is that a lot of money?" I said, oh, yes, dear, it is. $18 billion portfolio, $300 billion of trust assets. She says, yes, we're rich. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, that's how you get the FBI knocking on your doorstep there. I thought, man, we got to teach her a little bit about stewardship. And so when we came into the office, I wanted to do three things in the office. We wanted to be a good steward of taxpayer dollars. That's what you deserve to have the Treasurer's Office do. And we've invested an enormous amount of time and money in the back office of the Treasurer's Office, which you'll never see or never read about. But I want you to know that it's going on. The second thing is we wanted to be a bold innovator for the people of the state of Ohio. Because my belief is that how you pay for things matters, and finance matters. And the third thing we want to do is we want to be a wise investor in the future of our state. And that involves things like financial investments, but it also involves investing in families. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So I'd like to, first of all, talk about being a bold innovator for the people of the state of Ohio. You know, in our state, and I grew up in Ohio, just like many of you, we have some persistent challenges. Our drug epidemic, infant mortality. If you're up in my neck of the woods, the water quality in Lake Erie and the algae bloom that we fight nearly every year. Now, as a mechanical engineer at Duke University, I was trained that each and every system is perfectly designed to produce the output that it's currently producing. In other words, if you want to change the output on a production line, you got to change the system. And yet, it's very difficult within the bureaucracy of the state of Ohio for us to innovate and find new solutions to our persistent public policy problems. That's what Results Ohio is all about. Here's the way it works. It's the first of its kind in the United States in the Treasurer's Office, and it allows us to go out into the private sector and have the private philanthropic sector start pilot projects to solve some of our greatest problems as a state. So we're leveraging our brightest minds in the private sector to solve some of our biggest problems in the public sector. Now, they go through a pilot project for 2 years, and we agree on what success looks like up front. And at the back end, we measure the results. And guess what? As taxpayers of the state of Ohio, I want you to know that your money will only be spent on the projects that actually achieve the results that were intended. So it's a way for us to boldly innovate and yet hold ourselves accountable to the taxpayers of the state of Ohio to only fund those new ideas that actually work. So today, I wanted to let you know that we're doing things differently in the Buckeye State, and we're going to make data-driven decisions in the future. As we've gotten this Results Ohio program off the ground, we had a lot of applications, some here in Cincinnati, that were solving some of Ohio's biggest problems. One project was funded by the General Assembly this summer. It's the Foundation for Appalachia, Ohio. And the reason this project is important is because so many kids in Appalachia never get an eye exam. And so they go to school not being able to see, and they don't even know it. 32 different counties. Why? Because, let's face it, optometrists don't live a lot in Adams County. They might prefer to be here in Cincinnati. So those kids never get eye exams. So this project has a traveling bus that gives kids eye exams in all 32 counties. It's going to cost $1.3 million of private money. But remember, at the end of the project, we're going to measure the results, and you as taxpayers won't pay for the project unless success is achieved. Now, you're thinking to yourself probably, well, Robert, this sounds like a good idea, but I mean, how do you develop the metrics for things? How do you measure whether or not this pilot project has been successful? Well, today, I'm pleased to announce that we have selected the evaluator for the Appalachia, Ohio project, and we have selected as our partner in this first project, the University of Cincinnati. By the way, the university here is such a gem. You are so very fortunate to have the University of Cincinnati and everything that they do. As an independent evaluator, the University of Cincinnati is going to be tasked with independently measuring whether these projects achieve success. And I'm going to keep you tuned in to the future of this project and whether or not it is successful and has produced results. We've also placed a great focus in the Treasurer's Office on supporting our local governments. One of the programs that we have in the Treasurer's Office is that any local government, do we have any local government officials here, by the way? You want to raise your hand? Mr. Redlegs, you're a local government official? Thank you for volunteering. I appreciate your willing spirit. Our local governments, we want to support our local governments. So one of the ways we do that is that if they want to take advantage of our full trading desk at the state of Ohio, they can actually use our trading desk to invest their money. We call it the Star Ohio program. And this last week, we reached a new milestone, a new high water mark for this local government investment pool. Our pool has now reached $19 billion of assets for the first time. So this is a great service that we can provide local governments to leverage our expertise in the Treasurer's Office to make sure that their portfolios are getting the yield and also the safety that the same portfolio as the Ohio Treasurer's Office. The second, I see somebody over here going, yeah, that's about 0 basis points right now. But I'll let you know, I'll tell you now, the interest rate environment is going to change in the future, and this program is still going to be very relevant. We also have the Ohio Market Access Program. And this is a way where we actually leverage the entire balance sheet of the state of Ohio for the benefits of our local governments. We agree in our investment portfolio that if any local government who signs up for the program has trouble rolling their note, the Treasurer's Office will step in and buy that note. The credit market looks at that as the full faith and power of the entire state of Ohio standing behind a local government note. And as a result, they give that local government the same credit rating they would give the treasurer of state. It's a way for us to leverage our balance sheet, reduce interest rate costs for our local governments, and I'm proud to say that we've already completed 20 deals so far this year for our local governments. And during a time of tremendous volatility and, quite frankly, a compression of the yield spreads, we've still been able to do over 200 deals since 2014 and save local governments more than $4 million. Finally, I wanted to mention a program that we have at the Treasurer's Office called the Ohio Checkbook. Have any of you heard of the Ohio Checkbook? It's a great program. You go on your cell phones right now, and if you go to the ohiocheckbook.gov, you could see what the Treasurer's Office spent money on yesterday. That's how accurate and granular this checkbook product is. It's to hold us as public officials accountable to you, the taxpayers, and be completely transparent with our spending. We worked with the DeWine-Husted administration on a complete revamp of the Ohio Checkbook product, and I'm proud to say that now we're saving almost $1 million a year by leveraging new technology and solidifying the future of the Ohio Checkbook for years to come. Now, I talked initially that we wanted to be great stewards of your taxpayer dollar. We wanted to be bold innovators for the people of Ohio, and we wanted to be wise investors in the future of our state. And no investment pays greater dividends than the investment that we make in Ohio families. That's why I'm very pleased to announce the initiative that will soon become a reality in Ohio called the Family Forward Program. You know, adoption is a wonderful way to grow your family. But the cost of adoption here in the state of Ohio, if you can believe this, ranges anywhere between $40,000 to $50,000 for a private adoption now in our state. It's very, very expensive. And those families that would love to adopt a child into their home, it's a tremendous financial burden. And so through our Family Forward initiative, prospective families will be able to pay less interest on any loan that they would take out for adoption. It operates similar to some of the other linked deposit programs that we have in the Treasurer's Office. Family goes to their local lending institution. When they take out the loan, the treasurer's office puts a deposit at that lending institution for the same amount as the loan was for, and we accept a below market rate of interest. And that below market rate of interest, that gap, the financial institution then passes along as savings in the loan interest rate to that adoptive family. So it's a great way, again, that we can leverage our balance sheet to help children in Ohio find their forever home. That's our new Family Forward initiative, and you'll be hearing more about that in the coming months. I wanted to mention also our efforts on financial literacy. Like I said before, we have 5 children, and all of our kids are good at different things. God has blessed them in different ways. I can tell you, my oldest son, Cole, who's going to the Citadel, I can remember nights upon nights when he was a freshman and a sophomore in high school trying to deal with Algebra 2. I don't know who invented Algebra 2, okay? But it's a really tough subject. And he's going through and they're trying to graph the parabola, and he's trying to find the directrix of the parabola and the focus of or foci of the parabola, whatever those things are. Right, Mr. Red Sox? I mean, who knows? And I was telling Cole, I said, I was a mechanical engineer at Duke University, and I'm doing Fourier transforms in my advanced calculus class, and I don't think that I've ever used finding the directrix of a parabola. But the one thing that we all use in life once we graduate from school are those skills of financial literacy. Understanding how the fundamentals of how to keep a checkbook or how to make an investment for our retirement and plan ahead. And quite frankly, our country needs a lot more financial literacy. And so one of the things that we're doing in the Treasurer's Office to boost financial literacy is a wonderful partnership with Ohio State University to promote a curriculum that they have for high school students called Real Money, Real World. I don't know if you've heard about this, but it's a great simulated environment. So the kids go in, and my son Graham went through this. They come in the morning, and they go to different stations. They're allocated a certain amount of income, and then they can choose what kind of a house they'd like to have or where they'd like to live or what kind of a job they are going to get. And my son Graham discovered that it was not prudent to have 6 pets. The monthly cost for that is pretty high. It's a great way, though, for kids in a fun, simulated environment to learn about financial literacy, and it's things that really stick with them in the long run. And so we're very pleased about our financial literacy efforts, and you are going to hear more about that in the coming months as well. And I wanted to let you know that this summer, we honored the Urban League of Greater Southwestern Ohio this month for their financial and youth empowerment programs through our Compass Awards. And we decided that we've got a great partnership with OSU Extension for Real Money, Real World, but we understand that a lot of work on financial literacy gets done at the local level, at the grassroots level, and we wanted to be sure that we recognize those programs that were providing exceptional value. So congratulations to the Urban League of Greater Southwestern Ohio this month. Before I leave you today, I wanted to mention a program that's very near and dear to me. It's the Stable Account Program. And you heard Rick mention it in the introduction. The Stable Account Program is a program that helps individuals who are living with disabilities. And there's somebody else here today who helps individuals who are living with disabilities. It's Mary, and Mary came down and testified before the Ohio House when I was the chairman of the Medicaid subcommittee for the Medicaid budget. And she's devoted her life to helping with people with disabilities, and I understand is now retired. But if we could thank Mary for her service, absolutely incredible. And for individuals who are living with disabilities, many of them who are able to live out in the community and work in the community, we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to support them and their families. So we have a specialized account. It's a little bit like a 529 savings account that you're probably familiar with for putting money away for kids that go to college. They can save for things like education, housing, transportation, and other living expenses. But most importantly, what the Stable Account provides is the ability for someone who is living with a disability to be independent. And we're proud over the last 2.5 years that I've been in office, we've more than doubled the size of the program because of the focus that we've put on these accounts. And when I say accounts, I'm not worried about the number of accounts. I'm worried about the number of families that are behind those accounts that we're able to serve and offer some peace of mind to long-term and some independence for those individuals. So today, I wanted to let you know that this month, we've surpassed 24,000 stable account holders across the entire United States that we serve in the Ohio Treasurer's Office. Again, this program helps people live more independently and helps secure their future and their family's future. August is Able to Save Month, and it's a great time for all of us to talk about the opportunities that stable accounts provide to Ohioans and the opportunity that Ohioans with disability provide to our employers. You know, at a time, I can tell you, as traveling the state, the number one issue that I hear from employers around the state, what do you think it is right now? They can't find enough employees to work at their business. And so now is a great time, if you're an employer in the room, great time to think about an untapped resource in the state of Ohio, those Ohioans who are living with disabilities. They can join the workforce. With the Stable Account Program, they can save what they earn, and most importantly, they can more fully participate in our community. So, if you're here today and you have a family member who's living with a disability, I encourage you to visit www.stableaccount.com, and you can learn more about this powerful, independent financial tool. And finally, before I go, if you have any questions about these programs, I'd like to recognize Marcy Longnecker. And Marcy is here, and she is with the Treasurer of State's office. We're so very pleased that Marcy is the Southwestern Regional Liaison for the Treasurer's office. Marcy, can you stand up? And thank you for helping the Treasurer's office. And if you have any questions, you can always contact Marcy after this program. She's here in your community. But with that, thank you so very much for your time today and allowing me to be here with you. And I'd be happy to take any questions if Melinda says that we have time to do that. So thank you for allowing me to be with you here today. Oh, I see Mr. Redlegs has the first question. No, just kidding, just kidding.
That's tough competition. Sir, I'm not sure you're aware of, but a real focus of our club and service is on handicapped children.
Okay.
And that's a lot what our foundation is about. So I'd love to talk, I guess, with Marcy and just see what we could do to partner to get some of like Condon School. Are you familiar with Condon School?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that, I mean, that's a big part of our focus. And so if we could do something to help those families, and because some of those children are so severely handicapped, that would be awesome.
Great. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for what this club is doing.
Yeah,
and
cool.
Since it's a friendly audience, I will put in a plug. We have several large Cincinnati businesses that have taken one step further with the stable accounts. And so if you're an employer here today or you own a small business, you can think about this too as a benefit to your employees, doing a direct, a payroll deduct, essentially like a direct deposit into a stable account for an individual. If as an employer you want to take part in that, a lot of employees look at that as a benefit if they have a child in their family who is living with a disability. So it's a great way to make that an easier process for our families and for our employers. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Sorry, excuse me.
I noted with interest your comment about your son learning algebra and the idea that it might be much more productive for him to be learning something else. I have a son visiting who is 38 years old who complains to me that he spent a lot of time and energy learning about calculus in high school, and yet he doesn't use calculus at all in his life. What he really should have learned was speed reading. And so I said to him, Rob, I said, the issue is that what's important is that you learned how to learn. And so my question to you, sir, is, in your position, as you learn how to learn and are very much in tune with what's going on in the financial worlds, are you using blockchain as a way of record keeping for what you're doing? And also, what do you know about cryptocurrency, and do you see that applying at all in what's going to happen in your state's office?
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate those comments, and certainly we're always willing to learn more. And I think the idea of being a lifelong learner and also learning how to think for yourself and problem solve are incredible skill sets that probably algebra was teaching my son Cole. But with regards to blockchain, that's technology that we've examined in the Treasurer's office. It certainly may have value in the future, particularly as you're looking at tracking the custodian chain for certain securities in the future. Our trust department has looked at that, but the technology is still bleeding edge, and we don't want to be on the bleeding edge of technology right now for the Treasurer's office. We have a lot of other priorities in terms of information technology. One of the most significant of it is we're doing a lot more remote work from home, and we're trying to keep our cybersecurity amplified. So we have some other initiatives in the office that we're pursuing right now. I think blockchain holds great potential. You asked a little bit about the cryptocurrency. The cryptocurrency is again something that we're not going to participate in right now. If you've got debts that you need to pay or settle with the state of Ohio, we only accept United States dollars at this point, and we don't plan on changing that anytime soon. I think, from a broader perspective, it's interesting. Some of the value of cryptocurrency is the fact, that it's data mined, and it's this idea that there's a fixed amount of currency at a time when the monetary base has increased by almost $4 trillion over the last 11 months or so, which I think is driving a lot of the interest in crypto. But look, all the asset classes are inflated, right? I mean, has anybody tried to buy any bonds recently? And you can't even find any agency paper right now. The equity market is through the roof. How's the housing market here in Cincinnati? Right? I mean, it's hot. The price of housing is way up. So, I mean, all these asset classes are inflated because of the tremendous growth in the monetary base that we've seen as a result of, or in a response to the coronavirus shutdown. But that being said, I think that one of the problems with cryptocurrency is that there are always new cryptocurrencies that are coming online. So even though there's a fixed amount of one particular cryptocurrency, it's kind of like Wall Street. Wall Street will print any amount of equity paper that you're willing to buy eventually. And so we're adopting a wait-and-see approach in the Treasurer's office. We're more than willing to learn, and we're going to keep an open mind. But for right now, those technologies we look at in kind of the future state, and we'll see what happens with them in the open market.
Hi, I have a question about the health of the public pension funds. Mm-hmm. I remember a few years back, and this would have been before you took office, mm-hmm. there was concern that our Ohio public pension funds and the way they were invested, they were not doing well, with the firms hired by the state. And you've come in, did you take a look at that? Has that turned around? And can you talk about that for a moment?
Sure. Let me first of all say that my role with the public pension systems is to be a trustee. So that involves making sure that if they buy a particular security for their portfolio, that it matches against their investment criteria. And also that we keep track of it. In other words, we make sure that that security is held in custody, that it's there and present for the pension system, and that the settlement with dollars has occurred. I don't set the investment policy, and I'm not allowed through statute to set any of the investment policy, nor am I allowed to have a say in any of the investment policies of the pension systems. With all that being said, with, of course, the amplification, not just of the debt market and the equity market, but also of the private equity market, most recently in the last 12 months, you've seen the pension systems hit and surpass their 30-year funding level. On the flip side of that, though, if you look at the numbers, we have a lot of state employees that are retiring much earlier than they did in the past. And you're noticing that throughout the entire country. It's not some sort of phenomena that's unique to state of Ohio employees. It's that employees in general tend to stay with their employers for fewer years and want to jump sooner and retire sooner. So that's going to continue to be a challenge for our pension systems on a go-forward basis. I will say that in our partnership with the pension systems, they've all been willing, for the first time ever, to come on the Ohio checkbook product. And so you can go in and see their expenses, and I think that's a tribute to them and their willingness to be transparent with the public. And also I think it's great for you as taxpayers and everyone who is involved with the pension systems to see how that money is being spent. Go ahead. One last question.
I was very interested that you brought up algal bloom on Lake Erie, and I wanted to know if you could say more about what you can do through the Treasurer's Office to prevent the causes of that, and how that might interact with money coming in if the infrastructure bill passes.
Sure. First of all, let me say in the Treasurer's Office, we simply take care of taxpayer money and make investments. But through our Results Ohio program, which offers the ability for new pilot projects, we would love to do a water quality project through Results Ohio. And the issue for those of you that aren't familiar with Lake Erie is that in the lower or the upper part of the basin, the Maumee River Basin, which is actually where I live, a lot of the manure and the other fertilizers go from the farm fields into the Maumee River, which is Indian for the Great Muddy. So that gives you a picture of the Maumee River, and it travels in down near Toledo, and then it spreads out from there, and all that phosphorus and nitrogen feeds the algae bloom. So we would love to do a water quality project where private dollars came in to build wetlands to filter out that phosphorus and nitrogen. And we can measure phosphorus going down that river before the wetland and then after the wetland. And if there's a reduction, the target reduction is 40% in order to tackle the algae bloom in Lake Erie, then we would buy back that wetland, and the person, or probably the philanthropic organization that built the wetland in the first place, would then have that money returned back to them and they could go build the next wetland. So that's the type of private-public partnership that we would love to see in Northwest Ohio to tackle the Lake Erie algae bloom. Thank you again for allowing me to be here with you today.
Thank you very much, State Treasurer Sprague, for that very informative message, all the areas that you covered, leveraging the balance sheet and the stable account, everything that you shared with us is just right on target, and it just actually mirrors what we do in our club as far as working with families and children with disabilities. In honor of your speech today with us, we will give a donation to Rotary International for the eradication of polio, which is what we've been supporting since 1980. And we have a pin for you also with our theme for the year, which is Serve to Change Lives.
Thank you so much.
We have one visitor who was not introduced earlier. She is a renowned, nationally recognized art educator, has been served on a number of membership committees for art education. Carrie Barnett, she's worked in the Northwest Local School District, and she's currently now an art educator at Summit Country Day Schools, and we're very glad to have you with us today. Our meeting next week, again, will be Barbara Turner, will be the program. She is the CEO of Ohio National Financial Services. And we have a few meetings this afternoon, immediately following our meeting here. The Classification Committee will be meeting in the Rookwood Room, and the World Affairs Committee will be meeting in the Julep Room. Thank you so much for attending today. Serve to change lives, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Meeting adjourned.